Savannah Banana Games, what about them?
Have you been to those? I love watching the clips.
Well,
I've never
they
been
actually had the CEO of Savannah Bananas at REMA this year as the guest speaker.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Cool.
Interesting guy? Or
Yeah,
was it good?
yeah. And, dude, he walked the entire floor, and obviously he wasn't hard to pick out because he's got a bright yellow top hat on and a full yellow suit.
One of the teams has like pink, I think, from where it's somewhere else that's like maybe Charlotte or someplace. I don't know. Anyway.
But they do all kinds of crazy stuff. Like
It's fun.
There's some
Synchronized movements.
but there's some kind of rule where too, if you hit a home run and I think if somebody in the crowd catches the ball,
You're out.
You're out.
Oh, that's awesome.
So
I'm not caught up on it, but that is awesome.
but I'm telling you, man, they were playing somewhere the other day and they were on a football field, like a college football field. So
playing the baseball game.
yeah, and so it was so weird. So
What?
if you hit to right field. I mean, it was deep.
Deep.
But if you hit left field, I mean, it was
short.
like playing in a Pee Wee league, you know.
It's so smart. That's
Yeah.
so smart.
They have
man.
some great crowds. I mean, they're making money. They're making money.
They're definitely
Yeah, it's
making
blowing
money.
up, man. That's what I just saw a headline, but I hadn't had a chance to dig
But
into
we were
it.
talking about the umpires, so the umpires come out and dance. Like, so he's got his own little bit where he's like just straight up dancing, throwing stuff out to the crowd. It's funny.
Now, correct me. These are minor league teams, right? Aren't they? Or are they? They're not.
I don't know where they pick these players. I think they're leftovers from MLB or
Okay.
Well, the way I found
Kinda
out
like
about them was because my daughter told me that there was a couple really, really hot baseball players on the Savannah.
No,
Bananas.
they're
And
athletes.
I'm like, who?
yeah, they're athletes. They're not like wannabe athletes. They're athletes.
Yeah, they're legit. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt.
Hey, so Royce, what about the other night when we were eating and that young waiter comes up to Paul and he's like,
Oh.
who is this over here with this buttery voice?
I was like thinking last night when I went to sleep. I'm like, they paid him to say that.
He just walked up and said, "Sir, your
Sir.
voice is like the voice of God."
He's like, you're somebody.
Yeah. He said, "You're famous, or you're about to be."
That was embarrassing.
He's like, "Who are you?"
He's like, well, if you only knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Paul just comes in with those buttery tones. He said, "Well, you know."
Was it slower than that?
Super slow.
And velvety.
Yeah. And he's sitting across from a guy named Barry White of all.
Oh yeah, that was fun. I didn't think about that. Yeah, very
He's
well.
sitting right across from Barry White.
That's it. Wrong color, but
All right, boys. Well, welcome to another episode of Misfit Social Podcast. Good to be back together.
let's do it, man. New season.
We're here.
Pretty outside. Look at that.
This background.
Mountains.
Man.
Sweet. Love it.
Yeah.
Did you guys hike this morning?
No.
I slept in.
Good.
I want to.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're going to get to it later.
I
Fly
got
fishing.
caffeinated though. I'm ready.
Yeah.
So, Paul, tell me a little bit about that buffalo story we were talking about a while ago.
Oh, buffalo. Buffalo have become kind of a symbol, like a filter for my for the way I guide my life. You know, it started with this morning. I got up. Do I need to tell the story? It's kind of crazy.
Oh, you tell. I mean, yeah, sure. Let's hear it.
Okay, so I got up one morning on a Monday and I was praying. Okay, and I felt like I was prompted to take this trek from Plano to Fargo.
Was this before or after you smoked the ayahuasca?
Yeah.
I wasn't smoking
After a
anything.
night filled with ayahuasca, I knew I had
I
to
got
leave.
up and I saw a buffalo run out of my living room.
It's
close.
When I woke,
I must follow
was
this
a-
buffalo.
there was a
close.
2,000-pound buffalo at the foot of my bed. Ethereal, spectral.
Yeah, I had to
Said,
obey.
drive to Fargo.
So I told Julie, I said, I'm driving to Fargo today. She said, you're doing what? I said, I feel like I'm supposed to drive to Fargo. She goes, what are you talking about? She's like, when? I said, right now. And I took off. It was a Monday, and I drove all week. I stopped in cities, and I was like, just trying to figure out. I was on this little spiritual journey, and I went all the way to Fargo. In Dallas, it was like 70 degrees. I got up there. It was snowing. They have those gates. You ever seen the gates that go across the
That keep you from being able
Yeah.
to go
Yeah.
off the road.
Yeah.
like you got to get off the
Stranded
exit. No
yeah.
options. Yeah. Anyway, it was some of that going on. Anyway, went up there, went back, and I thought, what is this about? And so anyway, and all my prayer and stuff, I mean, it's a long story, but it's the Buffalo Trace, 75 Central that runs out of Plano and goes to Fargo, in fact, all the way to Winnipeg, is the old Buffalo Trace. And so I just started a kind of a spiritual journey that was built around the buffalo. And so it's kind of become a symbol of, yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
While we're teasing, we teased you a little bit, and this is not a tease, all right?
Okay,
but it's like we teased about that. I
can see where this is going.
I think it's so admirable that you would dare to act on that impression. And I think it's so important that sometimes I'm
waiting for the other foot to fall.
There's I just want to, I'm telling you, I'm dead serious right now, and I admire you, and I love these kind of things. And so my question to you is, how important is it to act on something like that? And how important has this adventure that you acted on been since?
Oh yeah, it redefined my life. It really did. It redefined my life. Some relationships, some things that happened, some just little pieces of evidence of what I think God was doing in my life came out of the obedience of that trip.
And that symbol has been speaking to you even since, right?
Yeah.
So pre Buffalo, pre Buffalo running out of the living room.
Are you trying to say I was on the Buffalo Trail?
What when you're saying, hey, this kind of shifted and this has changed the direction a little bit, just unpack that a little bit.
So I've been frustrated inside of the institutional church. I've always felt a little bit like an oddball in that space. And some of it is that the institution is clunky for what Jesus calls you to do. The institution does not perform it well. It's limited. And I say this quite a bit. You can't fully accomplish institutionally what Jesus designed to be accomplished relationally. Okay? So if you try to put all your eggs in the institutional basket, you really have a clunky gospel. Because it's supposed to be relational, and it can't be viral. There's not enough institutional mind to make it go viral like a relational thing.
Yeah, so pre-Buffalo, that was a big frustration point.
I wanted to quit.
We've talked. Oh, okay. So quit.
Not Jesus, but I wanted to quit the institutional church. I wanted to quit pastoring. I wanted to quit the ministry. I was embarrassed to call myself a pastor, to be honest with you.
Okay. I think I've been with you in various places when we would be introduced to someone and they'd be like, "Oh, Paul, what do you do?" And I could tell you're like, "All right, where am I going with this?
Yeah.
Am I an artist? Because you are. You make some really bad,
amazing
ass art.
Talk about a pause.
Bad,
make some really bad
art.
That was King James.
Yeah, no, amazing artist.
So, but what are you
amazing
going to lead with on your introduction? Right. I mean, you're uncomfortable.
I still wrestle with that a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mentoring, mentoring is a part of it, I guess. But it's a filter. It's different. I want to do the kingdom, but I want to do it differently. I don't feel like quitting the church now, but I do feel like transforming the way we think about institutional church.
Okay, so in another pod that we had discussed something similar to this, I think I mentioned that I have trouble when people were like, "Are you a Christian?" I have trouble saying yes.
Why? Because you are.
Well, because...
Well, am I?
Yeah, well...
Yeah, because it's a definition in
You
terms.
don't know exactly what I did last night, buddy.
Whoa. This thing just turned.
Wow.
Intervention.
You want to go on a trip from Plano to Fargo? No.
No, I
just wanted.
You want to go on a drive?
Spit my coffee.
You want to go on a drive?
You want to go camping?
Let's not go there.
Yeah, I would just say the term Christian is so loaded for me.
That's what I'm getting at.
It's so
You'd rather say believer
loaded.
or
It's
what?
it's similar to what you're saying when you're like, I don't want to introduce myself as a pastor.
Yeah.
It's because it's been so tainted.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as you say it, people are automatically like,
Yeah.
Now, so if I'm going to have a conversation about it, I feel like I can land the plane and they're almost like, yeah, you're a Christian.
Yeah.
But I want them to kind of come to that conclusion after I've said, hey, these are kind of some of my founding principles.
Think doctrinally, I mean, in the Bible, literally, the word pastor, in the sense that we think about it, is mentioned one time in the New Testament, once.
And how much it's used now,
That's the central figure, and it's really a bad design.
It is a bad design.
It's not the design of the early church, Jesus didn't talk about how he was going to set it up, but it certainly wasn't that in the early church.
Yeah.
It was more of a collaborative.
And how many
leadership.
times is Christian used in the New Testament?
Not a bunch.
It just says they were first called Christians at Antioch. And that was actually a slur or a pejorative. It was the idea though is that they were called that because of who they followed. What it's become now, and so I prefer Jesus follower as kind of on the nose as that is, but I'm proud of that.
They called it
follow
the way.
him.
They called it the way.
Exactly.
Remember? That's what they preferred to call it, was the way. In other words, it was Jesus' way.
Absolutely. And that's what's been lost, is that it's a way of being. And if you could pull in the Romans and the Greeks and the idea of virtue for them was not just morality. It was, what does it mean to live a fully maximized human life? They had that couched in their idea, the ancients, and they were saying Jesus really hits it on the nail for living the fullest life possible and being the best form of a human being you could be.
So communal living and communal community, and like a weekend gathering would have been a ancillary. It would have been something. Also, we gather sometimes. You know what I mean, type thing.
Right.
And I think we've made the weekend, the sacrosanct. We've made that Christianity. We go to church instead of being the church. And I want to go back to this relational piece, the way, right? So I'm leaning into more movemental, missional kinds of environments. But I don't want to leave behind. I want to throw the baby out with the bathwater, because I think the church is ready for something. They're done. They're done with attractional church. I mean, at least the people that are looking on are.
There's a huge segment.
There's a shelf life. It's going away.
Well, and I think the other thing is you see the cost, the burn rate of cash within organized religion, and then we talk about the needs throughout all of, we just say the United States that go unmet. If we were able to clear some of that, that's right. It's not very good stewardship. And when you're talking about human flourishing, the way the organization and the institution is set up, it doesn't really do that.
It actually
it's
harms.
not correct. It's not designed to flourish, because how many times have we been in services when it's kind of like, you need to be here on Sunday. And,
oh my goodness!
And you kind of poo-poo on people who are like, take their family on a vacation and they're not there. And it's like, yeah, but these people are grinding it out day after day, week after week. Right. I mean, what could be more important than taking your family somewhere, shutting down that time and saying, hey, we're going to spend this time together. That's, to me, that's good news, right?
We are better together. We are better together. We need to be together. We need to challenge one another. We need to disciple one another. Your faith is not, you're not meant to live this in a silo, by yourself. It's not you and Jesus. It's not a solo project. It's a communal project.
But you would agree bottlenecking what gathering looks like into, and see, that's the thing is, when your buildings cost millions and millions of dollars and you have staff to pay and you got to keep butts and seats to keep that model afloat.
Yeah, you created a monster.
Then you bottleneck the definition of what it means to gather or come together. Arguably we're doing that right now.
You're just shoveling cash into the bottomless pit in perpetuity. Yeah. It's never going to end, the amount of need that there is.
Would it be fair to say that becomes our new master?
Right.
So our Lord is now something else. It's a fixture.
What did Jesus say? You elevated the commandments of men above the Sabbath, or the Sabbath is made for man, not man for the Sabbath.
Yes.
You say it better than me, Royce. You know what I'm trying to say.
Well, just there was a constant.
That's the Paul Cook version.
Yeah, it's great. I got to it.
Do you understand what I mean?
You did. Yeah.
Hey, at least you didn't mess up the Lord's Prayer.
Who did that?
Hey, I did.
You did? What?
Yeah. Well, I got in there in the middle of it and just got lost.
I was like, in last season, I told Royce, I'm like, hey, just because we were working through the Lord's Prayer, and I was like, hey, just let's land this with the Lord's Prayer. Royce, why don't you, let's.
I got there, but I stumbled a little bit through some 23rd Psalms in there, I think.
I saw you look up to the left, and I'm like, oh.
Well, it was just, and the way my brain works, sometimes, like, if something just comes and I have to file through all kinds of stuff to try to get to it.
That's funny.
No, but I think you bring up a valid point, and then we probably can keep transitioning, the conversation. But that day, people were so hung up on what you did on Saturday. And are there scriptures for that? Sure, but they were so hung up on what that meant. I was just having a conversation with my kids about this, but they're going through on Saturday, which is a day you're not supposed to do any work. It's Sabbath.
Yeah.
And they're rubbing the ears in their hands. I just love that picture. They're hungry, man. And they're eating the corn cobs. And then you got religious people.
Running.
That's work. You're working. You're on the Sabbath.
But no, look, it's like, excuse me, sir. What the corn? They
Get your hands off my ears of corn.
Like, where the heck are you? It's like, what are you doing there? This is the Sabbath. It's like they're always lurking. People who want to just jump on your case about whatever.
All right, I want to just interject here. I got to tell a hilarious Sabbath story.
Okay.
So my dad and stepmom were in Israel, and we have a supplier there. And he took his whole family back when they were kids to move back to Israel to live there, be raised there. Big commitment on their part. He's still involved in the scrap industry. He flies back and forth. He actually works at night because of the schedule differences. Like huge sacrifice for his family to take them home and be raised like in the Jewish lifestyle. But one of his sons is very, very practicing Jew. And so they were doing Sabbath, or I think they call it Shabbat, is and so I can't remember his son's name, but he was leading the Shabbat. And Dad and his wife Nan, they were going to be participating. Now, if you go to Tel Aviv or anywhere, they have like Shabbat elevators, which means so the Shabbat elevator on Shabbat, you don't have to push the button; it detects you there. And because pushing the button is considered work
on a Sabbath.
All right. So they're standing around the dining room table and going through their prayers and different things. And of course, Dad and Nan, they're just kind of trying to be reverent and not mess anything up. All right.
Yeah.
And so everybody's standing. They haven't sat down yet. And all of a sudden, Dad kind of leaned back like this, and the wall was right behind him. And the house and the dining room goes pitch black.
He leaned against the light switch.
He had leaned against the light switch.
Oh, man.
And so Philip, the guy who is the dad, they sit there for a few seconds, and Phil's finally like, he's like, look, we can't sit here in the dark. We got to eat. Turn the light switch back on.
Somebody's working on
But Dad was so embarrassed because, they're just trying to, not mess anything up. And he just slightly leans back and hits the light switch.
But
and they go completely dark.
Was your dad the one that found the switch, or did someone else have to find it?
I think Judy, Phil's wife, came over and turned it on.
Nice.
But it's an example, though, of the same kinds of things happening today. We're locked into this idea of what church is, and we've lost what Jesus meant it to be. And I think there's a movement back. I see a movement back to the relational kind of construct.
Yeah, searching, questioning, hungry.
Churches are leaning that way. There's a lot of movement right now that I think is very healthy. And so I think it's a positive thing. It's not a negative thing. It's not a throwing off.
Well, let's pull that back to the buffalo thing. What is pulling us?
For the buffalo defines for me, buffaloes, they're not meant to live in fences. They roam. They go where the grass is. They migrate seasonally. We were talking about that. Mm-hmm. I think that's a great point. They herd. Mm-hmm. They birth naturally. All of these things that buffalo do are sort of like the way that the family of God should move, right? Mm-hmm. You're moving together as a tribe. And it's relational, and it's not fenced in, it's not boxed in, it's not defined by one region or one thing. It moves, it migrates. And I think that's the way that it should be relationally. You should be able to move around and your relationships and just go where the grass is, go where the fruit is, go where God leads you.
Well, there's this tendency to where we keep wanting to centralize something that's a little more wild, a little harder to fully standardize, but we as humans think that it helps if we centralize and standardize it, but we take away the holy roaming. There is not saying we don't have a family, but we as a family, part of our identity is that we're mobile and we're fluid. And
I've turned it into a system.
And we turn it into a system.
Right. I've heard that buffalo are really frustrating to domesticate. Like if they, if you have fences and stuff, they tear them up.
Well.
It's harder than cattle.
And we should be more like that, right?
Right, exactly.
And not to keep with the buffalo, but this idea of Sabbath, we can get in our mind what that entails, and before we know it, we just have a system about Sabbath, which is that story. And I think Jesus said something really cool that you quoted. He's like, hey, humans weren't made to observe Sabbaths. They weren't made for Sabbath. Actually, Sabbath was made to serve humans.
Right.
That's such a powerful point to look at all this again, is that some of the things we're doing takes and sucks the life out of us.
I mean, I showed you some pictures of my little grandkids coming up after service, Sunday. I'm sitting up there closing out, everybody's standing in the auditorium, and I look back, and my daughter has seated the twins and her other little toddler right on the step of the very back of that center aisle, and I'm like, I about lost it.
Yeah,
I was like,
hey, gotcha.
Oh yeah. I mean, I look up and there they are, and I'm like, So there's something wonderful about gathering. There's something, the whole family. I mean, if you guys lived in proximity, I'd feel that way about your kids. And you know what I mean? There's just this big brace, this hug, this tribe that happens inside of those fellowships.
Yeah.
But let's not make it more than it should be.
Right.
And that's where I am.
So talking about the Buffalo Trace, the Buffalo Trail type thing, and the way that has, the way they impacted the land, and then the way we're impacting the land today, I think
there's some analogies there.
And the other day when we were on call, I was like, man, is that a new art piece? I could see it back there in the back, the one that was kind of going left to right. And we were talking about the color palette. So, how much time are you spending right now on painting with your art pieces?
Yeah, it's seasonal. So when I'm painting a lot. Like I'm staying up all night. I'm in it. I'm putting out like 5, 6, 8 paintings, and then I'll go into a hiatus and just like a dearth of nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of in that season. Man, I pushed hard for a show in February, and I haven't done anything since February. Not one. And I think I have 3 commissions that I'm supposed to be doing. So I just have to get in the mood and set up my studio stuff and put it all there, and then I'll just dive in.
So like the one that you did for me on the Buffalo, not the Buffalo, the
Bourbon Trail.
On the Bourbon Trail, yeah. Buffalo Trace is a bourbon.
Yeah.
Right. So that one, how long does it take you to do one? I mean, that was probably what, 6 feet by 8 feet somewhere in that neighborhood?
It can take several months because it's oil. And so you have to have some dry time, or the stuff underneath won't dry properly. And you want to do thick over thin. So you start with thin, and then you kind of build up the texture. So they're real textury and they're real heavy with paint. So it takes a lot of time. The drying time is part of it. And then just the fact that I can give 2 hours or 3, or, I burn an all-nighter. So it takes, just to have, say, 40 to 60 hours on a piece. It might take a long time to get those 46 hours because of everything else I got going on.
And that style is mixed media, right? Because you're bringing in, I think some of them that I saw, it's like where the canvas is there and you're lining out like the streets and different things, because there's a touch of maps in most of
maps,
of what's going on there, right?
Maps tell a story. They tell a story of man imposing himself on the land, and the land imposing itself on man. So it's sort of like our lives, right? We have certain realities that we got to navigate. Everybody's unique and different, just like cities are unique and different, because we're all navigating different histories and all that kind of thing. So maps kind of speak to me. And that's all I do is maps, actually.
Nothing else, just the maps.
Yeah, I mean, I might do something for fun or whatever, but not really.
What's a common medium that you like, or like bringing in, or
concrete, coffee, plaster, paper. I use a lot of that in with the paint, but it's always oil. Even glue, it can be a lot of things, but always oil, because oil to me, I grew up with my grandma. She was an artist, and I remember coming to her house and smelling linseed oil, the mixture of linseed oil and oil paint. It has a very unique smell, and it kind of has, I don't know, it's cathartic for me or something. It's like a good memory.
Yeah, smell is a sense most closely tied to memory, so it can activate all kinds of
her whole house smelled like
vibes.
that. Wow. And homemade bread. So that's how I got.
Do you ever use pieces of maps?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Oh yeah.
What would make you want to do that? Is it just creativity, or do you suddenly kind of feel like this piece needs that?
So I start by studying a city, right? I start by studying the region, the watershed, the geography, the history. I don't paint anything. I start with the story. So what story am I going to tell, like the Bourbon Trail? And then I decide, well, what's the frame? Is it one city? Is it multiple cities? Like with the Bourbon Trail, you've got, 9 or 11 different original in the Bourbon
it was
Trail.
somewhere between 11 and 13.
Right.
And then you're covering an area that is basically going from Lexington, Frankfort, Louisville, all the way down to Bardstown, but you're bringing also in the watershed as well. So you kind of zoomed out on that pretty good.
Right. A lot of times I like to do cities because there's a lot more definition. Anyway, we're taking a deep dive right now. But on that one, the window was that. In fact, I stuck that in a coffee shop while it was, before I took it to you. And oddly, a pilot came by when I was hanging up. He goes, "Man, is that Cincinnati, Lexington, Louisville?" I'm like, dude.
Yeah, he picked up on it because he could just see it because that's the level that he's at. But also another cool touch I don't want to miss on that was you did the frame that you did was white oak like the staves are for bourbon barrels.
Yeah, and we distressed it and put some of the same colors that are in the paint. Yeah, it's a piece of art. I really love doing them for people, and I love creating the story and the painting. I mean, it's very enjoyable, but it's just a very small fraction of my life. You know what I mean? It's
So if I heard that correct, you said you're sitting on 3 commissions right now?
Yeah. One of them is for a doctor. It's like a 3 foot by 10 foot. He wants the Jordan River. So contrasting the crossing over of the Jordan.
Oh, wow. That's going to
be. Yeah. I've already done that once. I did one called Ephraim and One Half Manasseh. And it was pretty cool. It's from my brother-in-law. He passed, but my sister has it. It's pretty cool.
I saw one you were working on. Did you ever deliver it? And I'm trying to remember the details, but it was either Lamborghini or Ferrari. Was it Lamborghini?
Yeah, it was called Stick to Tractors. You've seen maybe the movie with Ferrari and
Ford versus Ferrari, or
Ferrari and Lamborghini.
Oh, okay.
So Lamborghini was a tractor maker, and in post World War II, I mean, he was making a lot of money, and he drove Ferraris. Well, they're both in northern Italy, Lamborghini and Ferrari. So he's driving this Ferrari, and it's like he's a mechanic. He's a tractor maker. But he doesn't like Ferrari's clutch. It goes out too easy. And so he goes to the next village and knocks on, this is like late 50s, early 60s, knocks on Enzo Ferrari's door, Lamborghini does, and says, "Hey, your clutch sucks. Can you give me can we get another? Can we get a better clutch?" Something like that.
Exactly.
And Ferrari, he just kind of got butthurt, you know.
And Enzo's like, "Fuck you." Sorry, Paul, but it's funny. You laughed.
I don't think that's what he said.
Got him.
I don't think that's what he said. But he said,
get off my porch.
Get off of my porch.
He got cocky. He just said to Lamborghini, he said, "I tell you what, I'll build the cars and you stick to tractors."
Oh shit! Okay.
So on the way home, that's how Lamborghini built his car.
He ticked Lamborghini off, right?
Yeah. I mean, within 6 months, he had a supercar. 6 months, and he did that by taking Ferrari's engineers, who were kind of done with him too. He took like 6 of his engineers.
Yeah, I think he was, from most of the documentaries that you watch on Enzo, he was pretty tough cookie to work for, I think.
Yeah, and that Ford versus Ferrari kind of shows that same kind of
yeah, 100%.
Same guy.
So that one, that piece, who was that? Was that for a dealership or?
Yeah, for the Lamborghini dealership in San Antonio. A friend of mine runs that. Anyway, yeah, it's got, so on the outside,
tractors.
Stick to tractors. It's about 50 inches by 70 inches. And I'm still working on it, actually. I've got a frame. I told him the painting is done, and it says "Stick to Tractors." It's pretty cool. But
it looks cool.
It's cut 3D. Really cool. It looks down over the town where the factory is, kind of in a 3D. But I'm wanting to put a metal frame on it that's kind of like looks like tractors, like with some rivets.
Oh, nice.
And some of the colors that are in the painting. So that's kind of maybe I made a bridge too far. It's like it's taken me a while.
If I remember correctly, that color was, their colors of the tractors were like a blue and orange.
Right. The painting is totally that. And embedded in the painting are all of these prints of tractors from the 50s and 40s that have that color scheme. And I've cut them up. And in the foreground, you have big pieces. And then in the background, the pieces get smaller. So as it goes away in the 3D, you kind of see the perspective,
That's awesome.
So
it's a cool painting.
You enjoy putting what I would call Easter eggs in the art too, right?
Yeah.
Little things to find. What brings you
Well,
joy?
the same-
Why do you like to do that?
The same doctor that I'm doing the one that's the 30 inches by 10 foot. I did one that was 6 by 8. And in the place where his house is, he was 40 years old when I did the painting for him. I just put a 40. It's like right on where his house would be.
Oh, nice.
I mean, nobody's going to see it. Nobody's going to see it unless it's pointed out.
Yeah.
I mean, they may even forget it's there. I don't know.
So that's a pretty good point on just putting little nuggets in a painting. Do you guys remember the Kentucky Wildcat controversy back in the late 90s?
No?
Refresh me.
So
Refresh me.
So I was, if you're a kid and you grow up in Kentucky, you're going to be a Wildcat or a Louisville fan.
Yes.
Man, that's just what you're going to be.
Yeah.
But a lot of people say, they bleed blue. And my mom would pretty much let me do whatever I wanted to my room in terms of design-wise whenever we were doing something. So they had refinished the floors, and I was like, Mom, I want this Wildcat logo on the floor. Well, about that time, whatever year that was, there was, of course, we're not talking internet, don't have any of that, so media doesn't travel super fast. So you start hearing these little bits and pieces about there being some kind of graphic detail in the Wildcat. And people were like, what? No. And again, it's not like today, if you hear something like that, you just pick up your phone and go to Google Images or whatever, and you're like, oh, yep, that happened.
Yep.
But this is legit. Go look it up later. Maybe we can put this up on the screen at some point. But whoever the artist was that designed that rendition of the Wildcat put a male penis
No.
in the tongue.
What a retard.
Yeah. So how's that for an Easter egg surprise on your painting?
Surprise!
Be like, ta-da, here's a penis.
There's a whole books on that in Italy.
on penises or?
Whoa.
Okay.
You
do
went
tell.
there.
Tell us more, Paul.
No, we were already
No,
there, and you
no,
just said there were whole books
I
on it.
know. It's like, should we be looking deeper into the art or what?
Yeah. Have you ever seen the book Secrets of the Vatican and some of the things that the painters who had a lot of angst toward the leaders would paint in the
I haven't
paintings?
seen the book. But
There's whole books.
Let's hear about it. Let's
Tell
hear
us
about
more.
it.
Tell us more.
I don't have a lot on that.
Did
No,
Did
you
it
can't
inspire
back
your
down
art?
now.
Is the question I have. How has it inspired your art?
Yeah, you're not going to find any of that in my art.
I'm going to start. I got to
There's
go
no
back.
need. There's no
Paul,
need for
I got to
that.
go back and look at my painting a lot
I know,
better.
we
And be
need
like,
to
I get with you guys. It
Okay,
like
what
descends.
little secrets are in here?
We'll get the
It's
magnifying
like, where's
glass.
Waldo? Let's try.
Yeah,
Let's see if we can
descends
find him
into
here.
a junior high locker room every time. I mean, what is this?
What?
I was
We're
just
just
talking.
following-
Yeah, I mean, I was
we're
just talking
following
about
your
art,
lead. You're
and
the
you're
one-
and
you're
you're
the one that
talking
brought up
about
the
books
Wildcat.
books from the Vatican.
Yeah.
And hey, I did
And
hear.
how it inspired you.
So while we're on the subject of penises,
Whoa.
I did tour the Vatican
Yeah.
at one point. Now I don't have any way to know if this is true or not, but the gentleman who was given, we probably had about 12 people in our tour. Which, if you haven't seen the Vatican, have you guys ever been?
Yeah.
I haven't.
It's.
I'm from Texas.
I was totally blown away. You're from Texas. What's that got to do with anything?
just don't get out much.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? From Silver.
We
Didn't even know there was a Vatican until
well,
just
You
now.
ain't from around here.
You ain't from around here, are you, boy?
And my wagon don't get that far.
So I don't have any way to verify if it's true or not, but for sure, when you see pictures or you actually see the statues themselves, most of them have the dicks chopped off, like they're missing. And so we were going through the section where there were a lot of those different statues. Now, I didn't realize.
Is this really what we want to talk about?
We are.
Go.
It's-
Okay, go.
Adam, make sure dicks get in the little SEO so we can get a lot of traction on this. We could go somewhere with that too, but
My palms are sweating. Keep going.
I bet they are.
Can you get this over with? This
hold
is
on.
painful.
You're saying dicks make your palms wet?
Oh man,
Son,
I just can't say anything.
there ain't much
right
dirt
now.
left in this hole, I can tell you. We
I'm
just
not
keep digging.
sure. I'm just going to let that one rest.
The innuendo filter
Yeah, the
is active.
innuendo filter is gone. But no, seriously. Anyways, the tour guide said that one night, whoever the Pope was at that time, he had gotten drunk and just went through the hallway wherever all those statues are with a hammer and chisel and just started knocking them off. And
he emasculated them.
He did. And literally, I swear, and literally, he said there's a chamber down below.
Well, they got a drawer full of.
It's just a shelf full of stone peckers.
Ivory goobers.
Yeah. And why they've never decided to glue them back on, I don't know, but that's, yeah.
Wow, this is important. This is an important conversation.
This was
this life changing.
This is what you call color commentary.
Like, this was another episode of
Misfits
thank
Social.
you for that. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Aren't you glad you know this now?
Stay stiff.
Stay away from that Pope is what you do.
Yeah, man.
All right, so Paul, back to your art. We'll get away from the little Easter egg things that you hide into all that. But how does the art that you're doing of the impact on the land, the buffalo, everything that we're talking about, like, how does that all come back together and what you feel like God is doing in your life now?
Yeah. I feel like I want to be more translocal and a little less just local, like in a local church. I want to encourage churches and pastors.
Give a little bit of context to the translocal
basing
part.
out one place and helping it flourish, but not just head down focused on one place. So I want to come alongside of leaders. I say it like this: I want to come alongside of leaders to create kingdom environments and kingdom outcomes. So that can be in business, it can be in churches, but I want to encourage people that are trying to do good things that it's worth it, and to give them perspective about where the institution has kind of lost it and how we can transform that into more of a kingdom mindset. I don't want to be church-centric, I want to be kingdom-centric. So I want to invest in leaders, essentially, pastors, business leaders in general. I want to invest in people that are trying to do important things and give them context and encouragement.
But you're wanting to drive change through hands-on with leaders in various places that's kind of sprawled out, right? Not just in a system that's in a box here, in a circle there, that it's happening in the everyday rhythms of life.
Yeah, like the buffalo, just go where the grass is. What's happening in people's lives, and just invest in what God put right in front of you. You don't have to do the smart stuff. God, I think, sets things up for you to give attention to. Mm-hmm. And making things more relational, a little less institutional, showing people the pathway for that.
So I want to ask a question, and this is a little bit of a loaded question, but let's take somebody like Denise Leon. We were talking about her earlier. New York Times bestseller, wrote the book Fusion, What Great Brands Do. She's come to our stakeholders meeting. She is top notch. Just incredible. And she's part of TED Talks. She's on YouTube. She does public speaking. What I want to do, just like a real quick comparison between how does somebody that's powerful, like, let's just kind of sanitize it, not make it about the subject. Let's just make it about what the person is doing. Mm-hmm. She's driving change across all kinds of things. She's driving change about how we think about brand, how we think about culture, and how that impacts the lives of everybody. Like, if you're a boss or a business owner, that's driving like super positive change. And she's doing it through writing books, different speaking engagements, digital media. How is what she's doing different than, let's say, some large church platform, but it's boxed and it's sitting somewhere? Is her way of executing her mission, what she has to say for her vision, is there a right or wrong here? Is there a best, better?
Yeah, I don't like to cast people like saying that there's a right and wrong. I think it takes all of it. It's going to take all of it. This is a long thing to unpack, but inside, alongside, outside, you see in the New Testament, you had Peter, who liked to stay around Jerusalem, had to drop a dream out of heaven to get him to move anywhere out of Jerusalem. That's where he wanted to be, right?
Right.
So there are people that are in this church space, and I think it's okay. right? But they have to have some context. Peter had to be confronted. He had to be, a little bit of sledgehammer had to hit his forehead to get him to think right, right? So you have the inside, and then you have the alongside. Barnabas leaves, goes see what's happening in Antioch, and I realize that viewers might not be able to unpack all of this, but Barnabas goes, and much of the spread of Christianity started with Barnabas going up to Antioch, and that was kind of an alongside move. He had a tendency to
where's Antioch modern day?
North. I'm not sure what nation it would be in. Would it be Lower Turkey? But it's north of Israel.
I'm wanting to say somewhere in that Greece, Turkey region, somewhere through there, right?
It would be Eastern Turkey if it was. I'm not speaking to that very well.
Sorry, I interrupted.
But yeah, the alongside piece would be Barnabas, and I think that's people who reach outside of the church institution, and they kind of bridge, and you see a lot of parachurch ministries doing that. And then you have Paul, who goes completely outside of the whole realm of everything, and he's reaching the then known world in many contexts. And so I think you got the Denise lady, she's reaching the outside, and it takes that, and it takes the alongside, inside, outside, all of it. I think all of it works together when you have a heart to be kingdom-centric and not just church-centric, like separating these ideas, right? Be something. It's not about what we do and about the institution we do it in. It's about being something in our context.
So in times of my life when I tried to push outside the box too much, outside the circle, there would be a fair amount of pushback that's not the way.
That's why Paul had stripes and stonings, right?
Yeah, that's what I was referring to earlier. Is there is this gravity or inertia or propensity to constantly centralize, and we feel safe centralized. We feel codified, standardized.
Yeah.
Like we're doing it a certain way. But the problem is the force of the kingdom is always pushing back against that and decentralizing it.
Yeah.
So that's a tension there for sure. And the point is that if we don't watch that. The pastor term you used earlier, they tend to nurture that, and dare I say prophetic voices or people who push against those kind of things to keep us.
They think that's the end zone. They think that's the end zone,
Well, those voices get silenced is what I'm getting at. They get kicked outside, so then they're outside voices. And then if you look at it historically, there's very little fellowship between Jerusalem church and that outside church come about 70 years. They already don't fellowship much because we as humans don't continue our mature journey to be able to dwell in the tension of inside and outside.
So in 70 years or less, it had already moved to this
fragmented, severely.
very, very fragmented on because everybody's starting to drive stakes down into the ground.
Yes.
It's like this is my thing here.
Yes.
Going back to the buffalo point, what I was thinking about whenever you were talking about the grass, go where the grass is. In hunting, just because there's food there doesn't mean that the animal needs to go, because there's some states that allow you to bait. So, I mean, some of this analogy that I feel like we're talking about is we go places where we feel like we're getting nurtured and we're getting food.
Sure.
But it's not necessarily God-given, or just because there's some stuff there doesn't mean that's where I ought to be going. And then, you didn't have to follow the buffalo that ran out of your living room that day. I mean, I know we were joking and laughing about it, but it's, it takes some
spiritual
courage.
Journey.
It takes some courage to be like, yes, okay, I'm going to drive from one of the southernmost points of the United States to one of the northernmost points because I feel like this is what.
Right after that.
Right after adventure. Yeah. Call to adventure.
Right after that, COVID hit. And churches went crazy. Like, they didn't know what to do. It was like a shot over the bow for the future, I'm telling you. They shut churches down, and people were, like, devastated.
Losing
and you know
their
what?
mind.
What happened to me was I felt the opposite feeling.
I did too.
I felt like relief. Like,
I remember getting a phone call from you, and you're like, "I'm never going back. I'm never going back."
No, I don't want to go back to that. At least in the mindset that it was, and it gave me permission to think wider.
Yeah,
and that was part of that whole adventure and season. And I felt like I had that trip, and COVID hit. It was like all of that melded together into a redefinition of. I got a better idea, essentially, of why to exist.
Yeah. Well, I want to just take a second and say something to both of you guys. For me, that means a lot. I can go back to multiple times when I felt like my stakes were at the time, maybe I didn't realize my stakes were as deep as they were in a thought process. And both of you guys have been like, you didn't kick me in the teeth. You just said something that was like, oh man, maybe I'm too closed in my thought process. So you two have been huge in mentorship for me. And I think that's one of the things that you're talking about in these rhythms, Royce, what you're mentioning about just in the day to day. You never know like what just a statement, a kind statement, not busting somebody over the head, just being like, hey, well, why do you think about it that way? And just getting them to explore their thoughts. Because a lot of times people, what you did, the first thing that you said to me that I'm like, oh, holy crap, what have I done? It was, I had just moved to Ohio. I remember standing in your office door and we were talking about grace. I had read something in the text that really just kind of messed with my mind. And you said then, you were like, if the organization we're a part of knew what I believed about grace, they'd come take my card. And then you said a few other things and I'm like, and I had just moved there and I'm like, oh my God, what I get myself into. But right after that, that's when we were doing Unchristian and all these other books were dropping. That's like, man, we are thinking about this way too narrow. So you just never know what it's going to do to be kindly challenging somebody on how they're thinking about their scope of life.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus did it with Nicodemus. He said, Nicodemus, we talk about being born again. I think we take that whole John 3 out of context. He's like, Nicodemus, let me tell you something, buddy. You're going to have to go back in your mother's womb and start over again because it's going to be totally different than how you were raised. That's what basically Jesus was saying. And then when Jesus comes to the end of his life and he gives an account to the Father for his life, he doesn't talk about institutions. He said, the work you gave me, I finished. The people you gave me, I kept. The word you gave me, I delivered. No institutional construct here. Yeah. It's all about who he's dealing with, right? We're serving, we're working. All of our jobs matter. We're serving people. We're serving a cause. We're on mission when we work. Yeah. Work matters in our family. Work matters everywhere. And then the people you gave me, I kept. Watching out, keeping, valuing relationships enough to not just throw them away easily, working hard to stay in community and relationship with people. And then the words you gave me, I delivered, right? Challenging words, loving words, encouraging words. All of the word pieces. I mean, that's the gospel. It's not this going to church. It's being the church.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say I appreciate you,
thank you
so much for being willing to be a little bit of an outlaw, and just not be more bold about where you're heading and where you want those that are, like you said, the people that have been given into your life. That's made a huge difference in my life. Well, I think it's made it, can't speak for Royce, but I love you, brother, and appreciate what you've done over the last few decades in my life.
Yeah, you guys,
love you,
big
Paul.
difference.
Thank you, man.
All right. That's a wrap. Another episode of Misfit Social Podcast. Love you, boys.